So Sam Pittman and Billy Napier have something in common, a couple things in common. They are the head coaches of SEC programs, and they came into this year with incredibly hot seats. And the latest trend for both of these guys is they keep winning to save their jobs. And Sam Pittman's got Arkansas in a fascinating spot. I mean, a fascinating spot. So they upset Tennessee. Big win. And I'm going to start addressing games with a label on a scale, not on 1 to 5, but on a 1 to 5 scale that is in word form. You can be an outright winner. You can be a lean win. You can have no vibe. You can have a lean lose or an outright lose label. So my longtime listeners will understand and remember this from long ago on this very channel. But depends on how you win and who you beat. So for example, Arkansas and Vanderbilt outright winners this week, because that is the best feeling that you can generate. This is a reflection of how I feel the fan base should be feeling, not necessarily how they are feeling based on comments that they give me, but how I think they should feel after a win. So Arkansas and Vanderbilt, outright winners this week. Washington, an outright winner. Minnesota, an outright winner with their upset of USC. Texas A&M, dominant over Missouri. SMU, absolutely an outright winner going on the road and beating Louisville. So those are outright winners this week. And I want to talk about Arkansas because they are the most intriguing of that group to me, though others certainly intriguing as well. Vanderbilt, man, they beat Alabama. I just have to repeat that until I realize that it's actually true. Arkansas hosts number 13 LSU this week. The Tigers better be careful. Look, LSU has stabilized since that opening week loss way back when in a neutral site game against USC. I thought they'd lose that one. I thought they'd win every game on their schedule up until this upcoming stretch. And before the year, I had the Arkansas game down as a win, even though it's on the road. And I'm just saying, Sam Pittman is about to play 4 of his next 6 games at home in Fayetteville. There's a lot of home cooking there for the Hogs. I don't know how many wins he needs to keep his job. Really seems like he's going to get there. I don't know if they beat LSU this week. That prediction comes later. But then it's Mississippi State on the road. Then it's Ole Miss in Texas. Don't tell me that they couldn't beat Ole Miss. If they can beat Tennessee, they can absolutely beat Ole Miss. And heck, you never know how Texas is going to be playing at that time or if Quinn Ewers will be healthy enough to play quarterback in that game. Then they play Louisiana Tech and Missouri. So Arkansas, I feel incredibly confident saying they're making a bowl game. My question is, how many wins beyond that do they go? Do they have another upset in them? The home schedule just might allow it. It's a daunting stretch to play LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas in consecutive home games in a 4-week span. But I'm just saying, they did it once. Could they do it again? He's kind of saving his job. So those are some of the outright winners from week 6 across the wonderful world of college football. In the lean win department, these are fan bases that I think should feel good, that performed well, but should not be jumping up and down because, oh my gosh, they won a huge, wildly important game. Ole Miss is in this category. Miami is in this category. Texas Tech, Florida. I was talking about Billy Napier, and I'm going to talk about him more right here because I asked this question going into last week. What if Billy Napier just keeps winning? I thought Florida would lose this game. I might stop picking Florida Gators football games that are of consequence because I can't get them right. I can't get a pulse on what Florida is. But right now, they're a team that has one more win than they had going into week 6, and they beat UCF on their home field. It's got to win him some brownie points. I don't know how many, but it's got to do something. So that's a lean win for Florida. Ole Miss, this is again a lean win, not an outright win, because I expected this from Ole Miss. I thought they would go into Columbia, South Carolina. I thought they would win. I thought they would cover, and alas, they did. They did it in even more dominant fashion than I thought they would. The defense responded. The offense put up 27 points. Ask LSU how easy it is to go play at South Carolina. It is not. That's a solid win from Ole Miss. That's a good bounce-back performance. I think Rebels fans should feel good going into this week. Not great because you have that Kentucky game in the back of your mind, but if you want to get rid of those demons as a fan, that was a good performance to do it. Ole Miss 27-3. Miami, you proved again that you can just find a way to win football games. There's inherent value in that. There's a lot of value in saying, hey, this game was crazy, wild, out of control. We were behind, we were down. Miami can play with a lead. Miami can play from behind. Miami can play in a dogfight. They have shown an ability to just win football games. That's going to bode well for a schedule that is pretty darn favorable for the Miami Hurricanes, Mario Cristobal and company. This one was close to an outright win, but there's still more work to be done, and that's Texas Tech. Red Raiders, I thought they'd go into Arizona and win, which is why I don't have them in the outright win department, because if I expect you to do something and you do it, you can still feel good about that. It doesn't mean that you get to go all the way to the top of the summit as a fan base, in my view, and say, oh my gosh, we're jumping for joy here. Arizona's a fine team. They're not a great one, though. But Texas Tech, 3-0 in Big 12 play. I don't know what more you would have wanted if you're Joey McGuire and company, or if you're a fan of the Red Raiders. Texas Tech, they got blasted week 2 against Washington State. They almost lost to Abilene Christian week 1, but they've stabilized things. They've been playing better defense. Barron Morton and the offense have been productive. They have been clutch. They iced the game on the road in Tucson. Not always an easy place to go. So that's a good outcome there for Texas Tech. Then the next label that you can get is a no vibe, where you just kind of played. There was just a game, a score, an outcome, and I don't have a new opinion or any new information because it's about what I expected. Georgia beat Auburn 31-13. No vibe. No vibe. Georgia's just, there's nothing wrong with no vibe. It beats having a negative vibe, which plenty of teams have got after the week 6 performance. But Georgia is fine. It's fine. They're capable, solid. Penn State. I almost put Penn State in the lean lose, but the game wasn't as close as the final score indicated. UCLA scored with less than a minute to go. I did think we'd get more out of the Nittany Lions offense against that Bruins defense. This game was at State College. Penn State should have been able to put up maybe another score or two, but again, it was 24-3. It was never a close game. I knew Penn State was going to win, but the offense took longer to get going than it should have. But no vibe. Oregon, same thing. Dylan Gabriel throws 2 picks in the end zone. They win 31-10. They win. They don't cover. The game was never in doubt. They were clearly the better team. Like, that's an example of a no vibe. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being there. Some of the best teams in college football, I'd give you a no vibe label after every single game, just about, save for a few big ones. I mean, Michigan, Ohio State the last few years have only played a handful of meaningful games until they met each other at the end of the season. How many teams out there would like to be Ohio State and Michigan? I imagine the answer is a lot. So those are just a few of the many no vibe teams this week. Lean lose. This is a mood where you're not feeling good, but you're not feeling as bad as you possibly could. Season hasn't come to an end. UNLV tops this list. Disappointing game. They had the game-winning interception against Syracuse twice. And now the Rebels are back out of the top 25. All their goals are still in front of them, but that was a disappointing game to lose at home. Had a real chance to bolster the G5 resume. Could that come back to haunt you later in the year? We'll see. Depends on how the Group of 5 champions play out and where everybody gets ranked. Do Army and Navy keep things rolling? Does one of them wind up with 0 or 1 losses going into the conference championship game? Does Tulane not lose another game and only have Oklahoma and Kansas State losses on their schedule? I don't know. We'll see. They dunked about 500 points on UAB this weekend, but Arizona goes into the lean lose department. Season isn't over. I thought Arizona would lose, but boy, you had a chance to win the football game. Couldn't execute. Missed the field goal. Offense sputtered against a Texas Tech defense that has not played very well on the whole this season. And then your best player on offense, Tetairoa McMillan, fumbles the football. That's a case of bad luck. Fumbles statistically very random in this wonderful sport of football, but Arizona definitely in the lean lose department because they are not looking great. 2 losses this year, only 1 in conference play. They could still, season's not over. Season's not looking great. Same thing for Michigan. Season's not technically over. Only 1 loss in Big Ten play. But suddenly they have to go at Indiana, at Illinois, and at Ohio State in addition to hosting Oregon. How many of those games do you think they're winning? If you're not winning at Washington, who's, as we talked about, fine team, solid, good, at times, sort of, kind of, maybe. How many of those games is Michigan going to win? And here's the thing. That game was following a script that Michigan has succeeded with in the past, where they have the lead and the football, and they just kind of grind you out, and they couldn't do it. Could not do it. Props to Washington, who, as I said, is in the outright win because that was a big victory for Jed Fish and Company's first ever top 10 win. They beat Michigan, and you get a little bit of a jab back for the national championship game. Rutgers is in the lean lose department. They went on the road, played Nebraska, who I'd probably say no vibe, but Rutgers, you had a chance, stay 5-0 to win a road game, couldn't get it done. Not because defense didn't play well, offense was not there. Nebraska, no vibe. That's about what I expected from that football game. But that was a disappointing opportunity missed there for Rutgers. And then the only outright losers worthy of note this week, Alabama, Tennessee. And look, is the season over? No. But that was the most embarrassing loss for Alabama in recent memory. Tennessee has now pushed themselves into the camp of we have to beat Alabama or Georgia in order to get into the college football playoff. That's not a spot you want to be in. And that should make Tennessee fans incredibly worried. Incredibly worried. I don't think Alabama's going anywhere. I don't think Tennessee is suddenly a bad football team. I think Arkansas is just a pretty good one. But the vibes drop considerably when you suddenly say, well, to get in the playoff, we just have to beat Bama or Georgia. Well, I don't think there's a single fan base in college football that should feel good. And in fact, I think you should feel the opposite if that is your prospect. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.